I'm in the arts faculty, we were tasked with, a really a sector-wide call to integrate generative AI into all our curriculum. And we knew that it was not going to be an easy task. And we'd just been through COVID really, and that mad rush to get all our learning materials online. So I just instinctively knew it was going to be really hard to pull these academics who were already exhausted, and probably very fearful. And there's a lot of anxiety around AI and and an existential crisis about their own practice and disciplinary practice. So as I was scratching around for a way to bring this work in, I had this random email from someone in our HR department saying, "Oh, hey, I've just done the Kaospilot training, and I see you're an alumni, and would you like to get together and chat about it?" It was like, "Oh yeah, Kaospilot. I did that I think it was in 2018. I did the Masterclass 1, and now we were in 2024, I think. So I feel like I kind of opened up my bottom drawer of my desk and dusted it all off and thought, wow, this could really work. And what was surprising about it was that I was able to just adapt what I needed from the whole board, the vision casting board. I just kind of honed in on that curriculum design bit and was able to adapt it, take it into a workshop, and came away from these workshops that can sometimes be really intimidating in a room full of academics. And I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. There was buzzing. There was the post-it notes. There was a lot of buzz, a lot of talk, and I felt like we started this big project on a really positive note rather than spreading the seeds of fear and doubt. There was that as well, but we were able to lead with more connection, bringing people around what we had, butcher's paper and post-it notes. Bringing people together was really powerful.
That's awesome, Jo. I feel like some of what you were saying there resonated with. I was thinking about how to answer this question a bit earlier, and I was trying to pull apart which parts of what I've done with Alkimia have been specifically from the Kaospilot Masterclass, because I've done the follow-up 3 days plus experience design, and I was trying to wrangle it all apart. And I realized that's maybe one of the features that I really love about what we did in that space, where I left with this idea that the big sort of piece that I remembered was the vision backcasting, which is quite a long process. It's incredibly detailed and very useful. And I rarely design things from scratch. So it's not the thing that I've ended up reaching for. What I'm finding is the reason I was having trouble pulling everything apart was particularly the learning arches that we did in this program. They're a tool that clicks together with a whole bunch of other stuff that I've got. So it works well with liberating structures. I've combined it with experience design. And I think the bit that surprised me most is I left with a little bit of overwhelm and feeling like this was a big thing that I didn't quite have a handle on. And I find that a couple of years on, they're tools that I just pick up and use every day. And because they're so visual, whereas my learning design used to happen in kind of tables with big chunks of text, now I can almost imagine it in my head and I almost don't need to draw it. It's the thing that's really surprised me is how accessible it is and how easy it is to pick up and use on a really small scale, or to just massage one bit of a program as opposed to needing to do everything from scratch. I find there. It's a bit like Lego. Ruth, you're on mute. Still on mute.
Still on mute.
Sorry, you think I'd figure that out by now. I was a step before you, Jo, and how you said you reached for the drawer and you pulled it out at the point that I was at, needing to build a new leadership program for our senior leaders across our business, to also lead quite a change process with our leaders, because we'd been through some really tough years and we'd turned the business around and now had to ready ourselves for growth. I didn't have a toolkit. I'm a HR manager and I love the learning side. I've done a lot of facilitation, but I didn't really know anything about learning design. So coming to Kaospilot, it was amazing to learn this methodology of how to design learning with real intent, but also just be in a room with incredible learning designers and facilitators and tap into that. So I think, to Zoe's question around what did I find, unexpected or rewarding, I was really lucky in the Kaospilot Masterclass. My project was picked as one of the groups to work behind and build my leadership program. And in the 3 days, I had the room full of people help me build my leadership program, which I then took and have run 2 separate cohorts in, which was so amazing. And what surprised me was, the process is so good that you don't need experts. So I had a room of people that knew nothing about coal mining, but could help me design my program because you trust in the process. So yeah, that was such a cool experience and made an incredible impact on my organisation.
Yeah, what you say there, Ruth, about not having to be an expert. I think I started my career as a teacher, so I come at my work now as a teacher, and put this expectation on myself that I am bringing the expertise. But of course, I don't know or any of the answers. The groups of people that we work with, these disciplinary teams, they need to come up with the answers themselves. In their, for their own context. So thinking more about what it means to be a facilitator rather than a teacher was a really big shift in mindset for me. And TJ, what you were saying too about all the different tools that we worked with in the Kaospilot Masterclasses were, they all fit together, and you can kind of pick and mix what makes sense for whatever group that you're working with. And one of the ones that really resonated with me was the 5 E's of experience design, starting with entry, excitement. I can't remember the others, but really thinking, I really stopped to think about entry, and how do we invite the people into the space, and what do we need to get ready for them to get, we can get a lot of work done in a 2-hour workshop. And I think Zoe modeled that really, really well. It was really great to kind of follow that as a model of saying, okay, well, I need to put this invitation in an email before people come to the workshop and just have everything ready to go. But and Ruth, what you're saying about trusting the process and leaning on that framework did take the pressure off a lot. And it was much more enjoyable. All of a sudden, I was enjoying going into these rooms full of what I had previously thought were kind of intimidating academics. We were working more collaboratively with them.
Yeah.
I don't know if you two have found the same thing. You reminded me when you were talking about working with academics. We redesigned a 2-day Changemaker Masterclass program using the Learning Arches. And one of the big things about the Kaospilot program is it's hyper learner centered. And what we ended up finding was that all the changes that we'd made were to pull out all the big teach pieces. The workshop became much more highly interactive, and I ended up running it for a group of academics over in Perth. And one of the people there was the Dean of the School of Science. And in my mind, this is a person who's really good at sitting and learning for long periods. She came up to me after day one. She was a really high energy person, and she's like, I've got so much ADHD and I really struggled to sit down, and this was so engaging. And she was fully in and so excited. We'd used a lot of what we'd learned to sort of put in these energy lifters, games, and to make the learning something that they got their hands on before we explained how it worked, which was part of the process. And I realized that even for these, this group of people that I think of as being really good learners, the learning was so different for them and the experience of it was so different. So I think even just being pulled out of my own head to think, does this need to be a teach piece? Why am I putting myself in the center of this? Redesigning around the learner, that was a really big shift in my practice.
Yeah. And I think I love when you reminded me, like bringing back the art concept of the arches. As a designer and facilitator, you have so much more confidence to experiment with new things when it still fits in your arches. and there's intent and purpose, and it might be risky to do something different. So like to rip out the teach pieces and disarm them into doing the work like that, it's the best way to do learning. But if you can be nervous about those changes when you're doing what's always been done. But when you have that confidence in the arching and you're going to launch it and land it, you can experiment more comfortably, which I think has just been really cool. And also I think for me it reins me in because I am the lots of ideas person, and I love Zoe prompting me one time around like, so where are you landing all of that? All of those ideas that you want to cram in there, like they're all going to come back down. And so it allows you to strip out, like not all ideas can be good, but not all of them are useful for what you're intending to do at that time. So I love that it's sort of for someone with my personality like that, it just gives you those guardrails to be really deliberate.